Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, the Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 41st Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing today's hearing. Joining me on the panel are Richard Whitbread and Kent Seelan. Our secretary is Mr. Jason Robertson, and the assessor representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment and Taxation Department is Jamie Fougere. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 10 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jamie Fougere.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Harry O'Frimer.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, we have 10 items on our docket today. We'll begin with item number 1, file number 221355. That's 930 Nairn Avenue, Unit A. Mr. Fougere.
Sure. So the first property that we're going to hear is B-930 Nairn Avenue. The roll number is 14100027000. And if you want to refer to my brief quickly, I'm just going to kind of guide you through what the property is very briefly, and then we can move on to the recommendations that we have. So the original assessed value, you can see on the first page of my brief, is $4,190,000. The land area is quite sizable. It's 94,857 square feet. The plan area of the buildings is 19,407 square feet. I should say that's sort of a rough figure, because you'll see we actually have a leasable area that shows that the number in terms of leasable area is higher than our plan area. So that's something that I'm going to look into further after the cycle here. But regardless, we have come to an agreement with the applicant and myself. But just to continue on seeing what the property is here, you can see on the second page of my brief, you can see it's sort of a P-shaped lot with some, lot use at the back. That's sort of a semi-industrial sort of use. And you can see there's a sort of a retail warehouse type of building at the front facing Nairn. And then if you go to the third page of my brief, there's another angle of the Nairn facing building at the top. And then there's a sort of a side view of the property where you can see the white building at the back here is a storage warehouse type of building. And then just sort of towards the bottom of page 3, you can sort of see sort of some of the storage, usage of the property. So I just wanted to get you familiar with the property. And if you wanted to open up my recommendations document, it's titled Recommendations for February 9th, AM Boardroom C. And in this document, we have recommendations for all the properties on today's docket except for 2. And when you have it open, please turn to the first page. And there's actually going to be, for this property, there's going to be 2 pages that we're going to review. So for the first page, you can see on the left-hand side is the original 2023 assessment. I should just maybe confirm that everybody has the document and is able to open it.
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So the original assessment is on the left-hand side. And so we actually originally had it broken into 2 income streams. One is a retail stream, and that's the first one. And then the second page here is the storage warehouse stream. Now, the tenancy that's in there now, one of the tenants is utilizing the storage space along with some of the retail store space. And so that's in the recommended column. That space has sort of been, lumped together for the simplicity of the recommendation here. And so overall, our square footage actually increases. I had mentioned briefly at the onset that we had a smaller plan area than what they have listed as leasable area. So as I mentioned, that is something that I'm going to review further. So the overall area goes from 19,691 square feet to 19,917 square feet. And the rental rates have also been adjusted. With it being that there is or was a storage warehouse stream on the original assessment, the cap rate and the parameters are more closely aligned with sort of the predominant use, which is the retail use at the front of the property. And we have not opted to utilize the capitalization rate of 4.8 on the storage warehouse stream for the building towards the rear of the property. So it's gone from the 2 income streams down to the 1. And so we're using a single capitalization rate of 7.5. So the total original assessment was $4,190,000, and we're proposing a reduction to $3,559,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Reimer, do you have any questions or do you accept the recommendation?
Yeah, in all cases this morning, Madam Chair, I am in agreement with the values that Mr. Fougere is proposing, and it's subject just to confirming final instructions, which I expect to do very shortly. So that would be the case for all of them, including this one, and we're in agreement with 3,559,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments about the recommendation?
I don't, thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes item number 1 on our agenda. Item number 2 on our agenda is file number 22-1724 990 Nairn Avenue. Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So the property, as you mentioned, is 990 Nairn Avenue. The roll number is 14093836400. And again, we'll just quickly go over the property here. The original assessed value was $2,288,000. Has a plan area of 45,000. Excuse me, a land area of 45,282 square feet. And a plan area of 13,680 square feet. And you can see on the second page of my brief, again, this is a bit of a larger land area than you might typically see in retail properties. There's a little bit more space at the back that's not developed, but regardless, there are 2 buildings here, sort of a retail warehouse in nature. And then you can see the street view of it at the top of my page 3. So there's the Dulux paint and furniture warehouse type of operation there. And so if you want to turn to page 3 of my recommendations document, you can see the original assessment on the left-hand side, and then the revised assessment on, or the proposed revision to the assessment on the right-hand side. And so here we've looked towards the actuals, and they are, I believe they're semi-gross. And so we've made made a reduction on the rental rates. And then we've come down a little bit out of consistency to 7.5 with the capitalization rate. So the original assessed value was $2,288,000, and we're proposing a reduction to $1,897,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. So just to repeat, the recommendation is to reduce from 2,288,000 down to 1,897,000.
Correct.
And that reflects a reduced rental rate, overall rental rate, and a slight decrease to the cap rate, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Reimer, do you accept the recommendation?
We're in agreement, just subject to confirmation of instructions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Move to item 3 on our agenda, file number 22-2875, 139 Regent Avenue West. Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
Sure. So the address, as you say, is 139 Regent Avenue West. The roll number is 09000393000. And this is a smaller property. The land area is 2,779 square feet. And the plan area is 2,016 square feet. And so you can see the property with the aerial view at the top of my page 2, and then a street view at the top, or excuse me, at the bottom of my page 2. And so there's 2 rental units here. though one is significantly smaller than the other. So you can also see that the building is a little bit older and, in a little bit of rougher shape. But it is right along Regent Avenue and sort of the older part of Regent. And if you want to turn to the 4th page of my recommendations document, you can see the original assessment on the left-hand side and the recommended reduction on the right-hand side. So a couple things to point out here. Some of the areas we didn't have up to date with what's been reported. Due to the nature of the structures of the leases or the space, with tenants coming in and out, we did not have it accurately reflected. And then we've also adjusted the rental rates. This is also a gross rent situation at this property. The rental rates were coming in quite high. When it's, an older property like this and it's small, I think the model has a little bit of difficulty because with some of the sales, trying to reproduce that on the small scale doesn't always line up. But the overall reduction that we're proposing is from 420,000 to 290,000. And again, based on an adjustment to the square footage and an adjustment to the overall rental rates.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's a recommendation, again, just to repeat, is a recommendation to reduce from 420,000 to 290,000. And that's based on a slight increase to the square footage and a decrease to the rental rate. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments?
I have none, thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes item number 3 on our agenda. Let me just get organized here. Okay, item 4 on our agenda, file number 22-1099, address 1510 Regent Avenue West. Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So 1510 Regent Avenue West, the roll number is 090076444100. And the original assessed value is $2,642,000. The plan area is the land area is 35,771 square feet. And the plan area is 14,356 square feet. And so this is the Visions on Regent. And it's sort of just after a lot of the sort of larger sort of neighborhood shopping center type of areas on Regent there. Well situated, though the parcel is a little bit irregular and there is not a lot of parking around it. So I wanted to get you familiar with the property. And now if you wanted to turn to the 5th page of my recommendations document, you can see the original assessment on the left-hand side and the proposed reduction on the right-hand side. And so mostly this is a tweak to the rental rate from $12.73 down to $12.50. We've also bumped up the shortfall slightly to $7 and the capitalization rate from 6.3 to 6.75. And so the original assessment was $2,642,000, and we're proposing a reduction to $2,416,000.
Okay, thank you very much. So the recommendation then, just to repeat it back, is to reduce from $2,642,000 to $2,416,000. And that reflects a decrease on the rental rate per square foot, an increase to the shortfall rate, and an increase to the cap rate. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer.
We're in agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions on the recommendation?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item 5 on our agenda, file number 22-855. The address is 249 Henderson Highway. Mr. Fougere.
And Madam Chair, just to expedite the matter, I am just seeking 54-1 confirmation at this time. If Mr. Fougere wants to read into the record, but I wanted to make the chair aware of that.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Fougere, if you could just read in the property to the record, give us a quick explanation of the property, and then we can proceed from there. Thank you.
Sure. So the the address is 249 Henderson Highway. The roll number is 14081948000. And the assessed value for 2023 that we have is $366,000. The land area that we have is 6,464 square feet. And the plan area is 1,541 square feet. And then you can see the property on the top of my page 2. And you can see it's sort of a bit of an irregular kind of rectangle type of shape, following the curvature of the road there at the front. And then you can see the storefront on page 3 of my brief. And so this has been recently renovated to this dental, primarily a dental office here. There is a small unit, if you see the bus stop on the bottom of page 3 there, right in front of, or right behind there, is a small unit that does not, is not part of the dental center. And just quickly to reference the workup that we have is on page 6. And so this is the details of the assessment in terms of the figures. So again, we're just seeking to confirm the value of the property at $366,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. And Mr. Reimer, you indicated that you are seeking confirmation on this property as well.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Just one point of clarification, Jamie. You're showing an effective date of 1939 for this building, but it sure doesn't look like a 1939 building. Does that have to be updated at some point?
That would be a wise thing to do, I think. I think that would be more reflective of the effective age. It isn't just the effective age. We also have some quality measures that are in our system that we can use to sort of kind of hone in the overall sort of combination of the age and the quality to sort of arrive at what we think is appropriate. So right now I would suggest it's either a really, really good 1939 building, or maybe it's a average or, medium sort of 1970s or 80s building. But I would agree with you that the date seems a little bit out.
And the second point would be the ratio, land to plan ratio at 4.19. You do have a lot of land at the back, but
Right.
you not address that because it seems to be sort of landlocked, hey, with that building.
Yeah.
Full width building.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think towards the rear of a property, sort of unless you're planning on redeveloping the whole site, I think that's not super super viable for new development, generally speaking, and I would suggest that would be the case here. So towards the end of the life of the building, as we see, they've renovated it and put it in some updating to the facade at a minimum, and surely fit up the spaces to more modern standards. So it probably wouldn't be feasible to be looking at a redevelopment of the site here anyways. So
Yeah.
But the point is well taken.
I hear you. Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Seeland, do you have any questions?
No, all my questions have been answered, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just had a comment, Mr. Fougere, about the leasable area, or maybe it's a question. It exceeds the plan area. Is that just
well, they do
updated records, or?
Yeah, they do actually have a basement area that the dental center is leasing out. So let me just go back to it.
And Madam Chair, I can advise part of the dynamic in the discussions with Mr. Fougere prior to the hearing relates to the differences in the respective leasable area calculations based on what Mr. Fougere is presenting in his brief, contrasted with what the owner has been reporting. So by way of context, this is an issue that I will be investigating after this hearing as well, in a little more detail with the owner, so that we can get whatever the numbers are, we can get it figured out on a go forward.
Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Reimer.
Yeah, and just in case you wanted to see which space is part of the basement, if you look at my page 6 workup, you can see the last premise listed there, 736 square feet. The basement is larger than that, but that is the portion that's finished and that they're using.
Okay, thank you very much just for clarifying that.
Thank you.
All right, we will move to item number 6 on our docket now. That's file number 22-3434-1325 Henderson Highway. So Mr. Fougere.
Okay, so the roll number is, the address is 1325 Henderson Highway. The roll number is 0400470600. The original assessed value is $2,349,000. And there is a large amount of area here as well for the land. So this is 32,419 square feet. And the plan area of the building is 7,038 square feet. So again, the land to plan ratio is quite high here. And you can see the property on the second page of my brief. This is a shapes. And it is sort of up front, similarly to the last property that we looked at, following the road. And if you want to turn to my recommendations document on page 7, we have the original assessment on the left-hand side and the recommendation on the right-hand side. And so I'm proposing just a small cleanup to the leasable area. I think the 7,038 square feet is more reflective of the footprint of the building, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that the whole building should be considered leasable. You know, I haven't specifically calculated the areas, but things like mechanical rooms may not be included in their lease. So we've opted to follow the lease here just to compare apples to apples. And so we've also adjusted the rental rate from $25.35 down to $23.50. The vacancy allowance from 6 down to 4. And we've used a 7% capitalization rate. And so the original assessment was $2,349,000, and we're proposing $2,160,000.
Okay, so your recommendation is to reduce from 2,349,000 down to 2,160,000, and there have been several adjustments that create that. One is a slight decrease to the square footage. One is a slight decrease to the rate per square foot, a decrease to the vacancy rate, and an increase on the cap rate. That summarized accurately?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to item number 7 on our agenda. File number 22-948, 712 Watt Street.
712.
Mr.
Sorry.
Yes.
712 Watt Street. The address. The roll number is 0201084400. The original assessment is of $1,025,000. The land area here is 14,129 square feet, and the plan area is 9,658 square feet. And here you can sort of see a land to building ratio that's quite small, actually. So you can see at the top of page 2, the building takes up most of the parcel, the land parcel here. And then you can see at the bottom of page 2, the sort of street front of the property here. There is sort of parking in front, but it is in terms of what is actually part of the property. It's basically right to the bumpers of the car there. You normally have some space in the parking lot, but it's sort of a drive up type of situation there. And then I'm going to get you to turn to page 8 of my recommendations document. So I think this building has been in flux with quite a bit of vacancy, say over the last say 5 years or so. But that's sort of becoming less and less. You can see some of the dates of the tenancies beginning on the left-hand side with the original assessment. You know what? I've just noticed here that I have some post-reference information in there with one of the tenants, and I do apologize if you wanted to if you're able to edit that out, I can also send a document afterwards with that removed. At any rate, we've opted to recognize the vacancy and the historical vacancy that's been here. 75% vacant in 2019, and going to about 40% vacant at the beginning of 2020. And so here we've used a vacancy allowance of 20% and overall rental rate of $9.25. And from what I can tell, the income and expense information may be somewhat incomplete, but they are, from what I can tell, gross leases that are pretty meager in terms of the income that they're bringing to the property. So those are the only changes that I'm proposing. And so the original assessment was $1,025,000, and we're proposing $660,000.
Okay, so that recommendation is to reduce from $1,025,000 to $660,000. I see a small decrease on the square footage overall, a decrease on the rate per square foot, and an increase to the vacancy allowance. That be correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments on the rec?
Just one question. Did that vacancy precede 2019 or did it start in 2019?
It did precede 2019. Yes. So it went back several years.
Had you given?
Madam, Madam Chair, I can actually assist in that with respect to that question.
Yes, go ahead.
If you were to open our submission on page 12.
Okay, let us just take a minute to get there.
Mr. Whitbread's question is a good one because this is a property that's had some significant issues with vacancy over the years. So let me know when you're there, Madam Chair.
I'm there. How about the panel members? Are they?
Yeah, I see it.
So yeah, at the bottom of page.
Do you have it? Go ahead.
At the bottom of page 12, I've listed, and it wasn't like prior to 2017 there weren't any issues, but I went back as far as 2017 just to give the board the sense of some of the vacancy issues. So as you can see there, it fluctuated from a low of 40%, which was what it was as of the reference date, to a high of 80% in 19 and 18. It was 50% back in 17. So there have been some substantial challenges with the property. I think it reflects a number of items, including what Mr. Fougere alluded to earlier with respect to the lack of parking. But in any event, that's the sort of the historical vacancy rates that have been that the building's been experiencing.
Thank you for that. And I guess looking at that, I know you suggest the parking may be a reason. Any other reasons in your mind?
I think the building is just not very attractive for retail purposes generally. You know, the location, possibly it's not a locational challenge, but not a particularly prime, you know, on Watt Street, not a particularly prime retail sort of location for a lot of tenants, but they're doing the best they can with it. As Mr. Fougere mentioned, they are gross rents. They're not. It's just not performing well, and we concluded that based on discussions with Mr. Fougere, the 660,000 joint recommendation more fairly reflected those challenges.
Mr. Fougere, do you see that moving to a higher rate? That vacancy could go to 25. It could go higher, I suppose, but 25 seems to be the chronic vacancy rate. You're satisfied with a 20 as opposed to a 25?
Correct. And I see. You know, I think it's positive that they have the, you know, large unit here, the dance studio being leased up, and some of the other tenancies that have followed. And so I think that what they're doing with the property now seems to be heading in the right direction. As you can see, sort of they've gone through some large periods of vacancy, and I think they're making it work. I've seen some of the street view images of some of the new tenants that have come in. It's some of it's post-reference information, but it looks like they're sort of heading in the right direction at this property, if I may offer that opinion. Yeah.
Thank you for that information. No further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions or comments on the recommendation?
I don't. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. I appreciate all the information.
Thank you very much. Okay. That concludes item number 7. We will go to item number 8 on our agenda. File number 22-2567, 436 Main Street. Mr. Fougere.
Yeah, so 436 Main Street, the roll number is 13060880000, and the original assessed value is 1,849,000. And this is the Palomino nightclub on Main Street, and you can see the property outlined in the thicker purple line on the second page of my brief. And it's sort of one in from the corner. And if you are familiar with this building, they also, the ownership also owns the adjoining sort of vacant lot here. That's, you know, roughly half parking at the back of it. And then there's sort of a fenced off patio area that the nightclub has access to. And so you can see the building itself on page 3 of my brief, and sort of a heritage building that you can see. And there's 3 stories above grade, and then there is some basement area as well that the nightclub utilizes. And so if you want to turn to page 9 of my recommendations document, you can see we've cleaned up the area slightly based on some information Mr. Reimer had. And just saying here, the basement area, I believe, is the 4,659 square feet that you can see sort of as the last. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Carrie, are you saying something?
Nope. All good.
Sorry, my speaker was making some noise here. Let me just get back to it. There has been some vacancy on the upper floors. There was, I believe, one of the 3,000 square feet premises has been leased up, but there has been some vacancy issues there. And so those are the changes, really, is a slight change to the areas and the rental rates, and then to the vacancy. And so the original assessment was 1,849,000, and we're proposing a reduction to 1,342,000.
Sorry, writing madly as you go. All right, so you have a recommendation to reduce from 1,849,000 down to 1,342,000, and that reflects a decrease in the square footage, the leasable square footage, an increase in the rental rate per square foot, and an increase to the vacancy rate to 15%. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Reimer, what do you say to that?
We're in agreement.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Is it a heritage designated building, Jamie?
I believe it is.
And I can confirm that as well. It is a heritage, designated as a heritage site.
Okay, so there are some restrictions on redevelopment.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. No further questions?
Mr. Seelan?
So you made some changes here. You said there were some issues with leasing some of the space in the past here.
Right. Yeah. Some of the upper floors.
And you mentioned something about the square footage changes. Can you just review that with me one more time, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So, Mr. Reimer sort of had the lead on some of the areas in terms of what has been sort of outlined in the leases. A building like this, you know, these older kind of bank buildings, they do have a lot of, you know, the exterior walls are quite thick. There are hallways and staircases that, you know, make it a little bit more challenging to find a consensus on what you're considering to be the leasable area. And, you know, for other of these sort of bankers row, older buildings here, we've had some conversations surrounding BOMA and things like that in terms of what the industry standard should be. Because it's, and I'm not an expert in this area, but as far as I can tell, you know, in terms of coming up with a lease, you can sort of structure it differently, and at the end of the day, it's really just a vehicle to extract rent from the tenants. And from what I can tell, the adjustment to the leasable areas are reflective of sort of what they've been, how they've been managing the building.
And I can assist further on that question, Madam Chair. If the board is interested, I can confirm where I had what I'd provided to Mr. Fougere as far as the suggestion for the square footage. If you want to do that, I'm certainly happy to do that.
Sure, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so if we might, if Madam Chair, if you might open our submission and please go to page 31 and let me know when you're there.
Go ahead, Mr. Reimer.
Thank you. So page 31, these are the areas that we've identified in the joint recommendation. So the main area is the first one there at 5,095 square feet, and then the second floor is the 3,083, noted as floor ID or unit ID 2. The third floor is unit ID 3 at 3,083 square feet, and in the basement area, and that's what Mr. Fougere was alluding to, the basement area is 4,659 square feet. So the total at the bottom, you can see the occupied square footage is shown as 12,837, vacant area of 3,083 for a total area of 15,920 inclusive of the basement space. So that's where the revisions to the areas came about. As I'd mentioned to Mr. Fougere in our discussions, I do have some confidence in this particular landlords. They would take care to measure things according to reasonable standards that they would use for the purposes of calculating the leasable area, and as Mr. Fougere had alluded to, for the purposes of calculating rents that would be payable. So that's the areas that we're suggesting this morning.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Seelan, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you for the information.
Madam Chair, may I ask one further question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just looking at page 3 of your submission, Jamie. the sales history. It looks like you had a sale in December of 2017 for 2.7 million. How do you reconcile that to a property that now, after improvements and changes over the years, has dropped down to 1.342 million? Can you make a comment?
So what I would suggest is that there has been some vacancy here. And the other thing I would point out would be that sale does also include the vacant land directly to the north of the property.
And vacant land is on a separate roll?
It is on a separate roll, that's right. And so that sale is inclusive of both of those roll numbers. And there is a separate assessment on the roll number with the address 440 Main Street.
Thank you. That explains it.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, that concludes item number 8 on our agenda. Item number 9 on our agenda, file number 22-1815, 474 Main Street. Mr. Fougere, whenever you're ready, please. Oh, yes, before we begin, I see that we have a preliminary issue that we need to deal with first.
Right. So I would like to withdraw the request for the penalties to be applied. This property has been purchased. It is post-reference, the purchase. So I will say that, you know, between the purchase and the, there has also been a replot of the property as it was previously joined with the, again, with their neighboring roll number, which is 488 Main Street. So it has also been replotted. But the previous owner would have received the request for information. So we believe it's unfair to apply the penalties to the current owner.
Okay. Does any member of the panel have a question or comment about this issue?
I do not.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Then Mr. Fougere, you may begin with your brief.
So the address is 474 Main Street. The roll number is 13099072170. And the plan area and the land area are almost the same here. Land area 2,611 square feet, and a plan area of 2,567 square feet. And you can see the property on page 2 of my brief. And you can see the sort of taller neighboring building. As I mentioned, that was previously altogether under one roll number, that one and subject. As you can see, the property's going through some changes. I think the former tenant was Antiques and Funk, but they are renovating the space currently, and it is not currently open. So you can see, if you want to turn to page 10 of my brief, you can see the original assessment on the left-hand side and the recommended revision to the assessment on the right-hand side. So originally we had it all as one space, being the Antiques and Funk space. They also had access to the basement. I have inspected this property myself. You know, unfortunately, we did not remove the basement at the time. I think we considered it of sort of nominal use or benefit to the tenant above. But I did inspect it, and it is a sort of 100-plus-year-old basement that is really not leasable in any way. It's just, it was used for some storage capacity. I would suggest that even as such, it probably should not be included in the assessment. And so we've proposed to remove it here altogether. And so the only changes are to the area and then to the rental rate. And so until this is, redeveloped, I think a rate of $12 a square foot is probably fair. And so the original assessment was $462,000, and we're proposing to reduce it to $353,000.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fougere. So the recommendation is to reduce from 462,000 down to 353, and that reflects a decrease in the square footage, primarily to remove the basement, and an increase to the rental rate per square foot to $12. Mr. Reimer?
We're in agreement with 353,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments on the rec?
Just a minor one. In looking at your recommendation, then you've found another 165 square feet over the 2,300. So is that part of the basement you're allocating to be rentable?
You know what? I can't speak to the exact nature of the areas that we've opted to adopt here.
Could I assist, Mr. Fougere?
Sure, please.
Madam Chair, could we again open my submission, please? And let me know when you're there.
What page, Mr. Reimer?
Why is that not numbered? I apologize. It'll be page 18.
18, yeah.
Page 18. At the top of page 18, you should see a sketch. And this is prepared by the current owner, our client. And so what you can see there is the unit A, which has 1,374 square feet. So that's the one that's, as we sit here today, that's the one that's still in shell condition. And then our information is to the one that, and this is again, post-reference as far as the lease arrangements, but the one that has been, where a tenant has been secured is the unit of 1,091 square feet. And that's based on actually the leasable area shown in that post-reference lease. So I can certainly say with some degree of confidence, if we turn back very briefly to my page 15, it's the same revised figures shown at the top of that page with the two units that total 2,465 square feet. That's again, that's based on the most current information provided to us by the owner based on the sort of the repurposing of the site. So I have a high degree of confidence in that number.
Thank you. That explains it.
Any additional questions, Mr. Whitbread?
No, that's fine for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our final item on the docket is item number 10. 22-1128, 1186 Main Street.
And again, Madam Chair, just for context, I will be seeking a 54-1 on this in due course after Mr. Fougere is presented.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reimer. So, Mr. Fougere, perhaps we can just read this into the record then? Sure.
So the address is 1186 Main Street. The roll number is 140-999-49500. The assessed value is $1,645,000. And the land area is 39,933 square feet, and the plan area is 6,905 square feet. And you can see at the top of my page 2, the property here is undergoing some construction. You can see with all the vehicles around. And then you can see this is the current state of the property after the renovations to the exterior. And you can see at the bottom of my page 2, basically, I think this was a formerly a Blockbuster space, right, sort of at the end. And so this has been sort of updated, and the restaurant has expanded into that space a little bit. And you can see sort of a second, well, actually a third door into the McDonald's there right at the end. The space previously did not extend that far. And then the other spot I would point out is right at the very front, sort of at the southeastern tip. There's been sort of a walk-up drive-through window, if you will, that's been added to the building as an addition. So that point, sort of in the middle picture, that point that kind of comes closest out to the camera, or into the parking lot, if you will, that's actually part of an addition. And so we've updated those areas as part of this assessment, or excuse me, we've updated that area on our records, but this assessment actually does not reflect those changes. And so we're proposing that we confirm the assessment because we did not opt to generate a supplemental assessment based on these renovations. It is on record now, and so by next assessment, the changes to the overall realty will take effect. The changes have taken effect for the McDonald's itself, and them increasing their area in terms of the business assessment. And again, the value that we're looking at is $1,645,000.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fougere.
Thank you.
Mr. Reimer, you've indicated that you are seeking confirmation.
Indeed, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments on this property?
Probably more of a comment. Jamie, you know, my favorite thing is talking about land to plan. And I'm looking at this one at almost 6, but the way the building is centered and the need for drive-through, is that what's precluding additional land value on this property?
Absolutely. And the fact that, you know, there is area in the building itself that is not leased, and you know, that's sort of an indication that the market's not sort of clamoring for space at the site, rentable space. But definitely a drive-through, you know, requires a lot of space in the parking lot in terms of directing traffic, you know, in and out of the property. So, yeah.
Is that additional space, is that post-reference? What was that pre-reference to?
It is post-reference in the terms of our reference date. However, just a reminder in terms of physical conditions of the property. So, you know, physically the space is now there. We are able to talk about that because the physical, you know, physical condition of the property is what we're looking at as of January 1st, 2023. So we look at sort of current physical conditions.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. Okay. No further questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we've now concluded our agenda. We've heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. So thank you very much, Mr. Fougere and Mr. Reimer.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
That was short and sweet.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Thank you.